UFC 254. Let's get into the main fight and then the co-main after that.
Yes.
But you got Khabib, the Russian monster, Mr. I fight bears when I was a little kid, against the interim champ, Dustin Gaethje. Look, I mean, this is, we always talk about this, right? We always talk about that this is a conflict in styles and which style is going to win. But here we go again, right? Style versus style.
Exactly.
You know, Khabib takes you to deep water, loves taking guys down, ground and pound, and he beats you up down there. Yeah, I mean, Dustin Gaethje is a brawler.
Yep.
I mean, and can we stop calling guys that went to places like Northern Colorado or Florida A&M, and they were on the wrestling team, and okay, they were all American, but can we stop giving that any as a star on their resume? I mean, it's a thing. Okay, they're an All-American. Dustin Gaethje went to Northern Colorado. Okay, I'm not saying he didn't wrestle great talent and wasn't a great wrestling talent, but let's stop with I'm just saying, let's stop with calling him a great wrestler who can handle Khabib, because I've seen other media outlets say he's an All-American wrestler, but he's really a brawler. I'm like, no, he's a brawler who has some wrestling.
Look, I think the argument you're trying to make, and I'm making it to a different sport, is there's a lot of guys, girls, whatever, in college who are like the stud or studess, whatever it is, of the team or sport, and then they don't amount to anything in the pro. Same argument.
Right.
You know, in college, you're facing the best of the best of high school. In pro, you're facing the best of the best of the best of college in the world.
Right.
Completely different game. I mean, how many college athletes have we seen that were absolute studs at whatever they wanted to do? Basketball, football, baseball, name it. Completely either flame out in the pros or never even make it to the pros. I mean, I can think of, off the top of my head, a lot in the NFL.
Right. Plenty of studs in college that did not amount to anything in the professional ranks. Look, I
a wrestling match in college.
I mean, I've had this conversation with DC and Dominic Cruz, and look, I will not explain their rationale or what side they were on, but we've had these conversations back at FS1, and whether they agreed or understood my point, I think that the media needs to stop focusing on it and stop giving it it's not a big deal. They're not DC, they're not an Olympic wrestler. Right? Like, I mean, unless you've reached the pinnacle of that, I don't think that it's a real advantage.
Well,
I think that, like I said, right. I think at the end of the day, Gaethje is a brawler who has some wrestling, who is comfortable with wrestling and grinding. Okay, great. But he's not going to be able to handle Khabib on the ground.
I don't know that.
I mean,
well, okay.
No, who can? The guy's undefeated. The guy, I mean,
if you take the getting punched in the face out of it, it was simply just a ground game.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few people who could probably handle him on the ground. I'm thinking like Damian.
Right.
Like the aces of aces at ground game could probably handle him down there, which is why they're
right.
fine. But to put it all together, when you basically have, I don't even know who to compare him to. I mean, you basically have a Randy Couture on the feet. He's going to smother you. He's going to dirty box you. And then when he gets down, I mean, who do you compare him to? Boys.
Look, I mean, Khabib has 57 takedowns in this division. I mean, 57 takedowns in his time in the UFC. I mean, come on. And then he landed, I'm reading these stats because I want to get them right. Landed 308 ground strikes during his UFC career, the most ever by a lightweight.
So far.
Right? So, holy shit, if he gets you down, you are in trouble. On the other side, Dustin Gaethje, his fights only end in KO, TKO. I mean,
Well, yeah.
I mean, five fights where he's finished, 2 others where he's been finished. The guy does not go to decision. He does not normally go to decision.
Which usually makes an exciting fight. But look, to go back for a second to your point about the wrestling thing, you do have to look at a guy's previous past. Sorry. You know, he was a wrestler in college. He was whatever in college. So I understand that, you know, mainstream, everybody talking about it because they should. It is, you know, in his cap, in his arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to agree with you that unless you're like the cream of the crop of the wrestling community in college, if you're like, you out-wrestled everybody and it was one of those where it's like you didn't even let up a point, or, you know, you let up so few points that they rewrote the record books, or you were so dominant that they were just like, hey, you win, go away. Or you were an Olympic wrestler, because Olympic wrestling, you're at a stage that you're not facing the guys, you know, from Iowa. You're not facing the guys from Minnesota, Wisconsin, wherever the top wrestling schools are.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you could talk about it, but it's just not the whole story.
Absolutely not. Look, I mean, Khabib is looking at, what, 12 UFC victories, right? I mean, he's on a tie. He's in a tie with John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, Max Holloway for most all time behind Anderson Silva, who has 16. So
I love this fighter.
Look, the guy is a freaking stud, good person. However, let's break it down even further with this guy. Lost his father.
He's going to come out.
He's traveling at a time where he doesn't want to travel. He said it himself in an interview earlier this week. I have money. I have my family. This COVID thing that's been going on. I lost my dad. Why do I need to fight? Why am I here to fight Justin Gaethje? Of all, I think part of it is, look, Fight Island, they have shown that they are doing a very good job of containing the environment, so that Khabib can fly out of his homeland into Fight Island and isolate to the umpteenth degree there. So I think that the variables of COVID are taken out. But why is Khabib fighting? Does he really see Justin Gaethje as this big challenge to him? Because he could have went back. He could have went back to the Conor fight and do another money fight. You don't want to do that.
The money. I think he.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the dude that has the temporary belt. I have the real belt. We need to unify it one way or the other. And that's it. I mean, even he came out.
Yeah.
Okay, look, we're gonna look beyond this. Same interview. He already came out and said, or different interview. I think it was the same interview.
And can I give kudos to the UFC of finding a way to market top contenders now by giving them an interim belt. Luring people in with, this is a title unification bout.
Champ on champ, unify the belt.
Right. I mean, kudos to the UFC for finding a marketing angle and giving basically the guy who's the number one contender a temp belt, an interim belt, and then being able to promote a belt versus belt where, look, interim's great. It ain't the belt. You ain't the champ. You didn't take it from Khabib. You are just a placeholder. The belt for Gaethje, no disrespect, is a marketing ploy, right? It's a marketing ploy, but they figured out a way. Look, Gaethje, solid fighter. I think he's going to be outclassed by Khabib. If Khabib comes with the right mindset, right? I mean, we've seen plenty of athletes in various sports have something weigh heavy on their mind, and it affects everything.
Oh, God.
So is he going to be able to turn the loss of his father into a positive where it motivates him, or is it going to be something that brings him down and brings him to a level where he just can't get up? I think that's going to be an interesting play. Gaethje lands almost eight strikes per minute. I mean, that dude's busy swinging for the fences.
We also got to take into account the time difference.
I mean, hopefully at this point they're all settled and they've adjusted well.
For Khabib, he lives closer to that time area, so it's harder for him, or it's going to be more difficult for him to be like, oh, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, whereas Gaethje is going to be like, oh, it's like 11 in the afternoon or whatever time it is. It's like, oh, great.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always hard for me to root against an American fighter, regardless. I always have It's hard, especially against a Russian, right? Like, oh my God, right? Here comes politics creeping in. No, I tried to end it there, but when Gaethje took a picture with President Trump, it really bothered me. It bothered me, and so now I want to see. I mean, look, I was rooting for Khabib before that. I'd still root for Khabib now because Khabib is.
For Khabib against Conor.
I was not. I was rooting for Conor.
I remember.
Yeah. I was not rooting for Khabib then, but Khabib is look, but Khabib is phenomenal. He is, like I gave you a list of names. Outside of my opinion of Max Holloway, he is up there tied with the best of all time. He's chasing Anderson Silva. Does he continue to chase Anderson Silva? Does he want to break that record, or does he want to hit, or he just wants to hit 30-0 and ride off into the sunset? And the only fight for him where he's teased out is GSP.
Oh, please. Make it happen.
GSP's out there posting training videos of him running and shadow boxing and doing. I'm like, is that what we're gonna see? I'd love to see it. Well, we could talk about that all day long, but look, my prediction. Let's get to prediction time. I see Khabib second round, ground and pound, done.
That's what I was gonna say. So fine, I'll take third round, ground and pound. Why not?
I think it's okay for us to agree. We don't have to be at odds at this one. I think it's gonna look. Let's go all in. It's second round. I mean, you think early, late? I'm thinking like middle second round. If you want to get specific.
Look, it's impossible to predict because like you do not know what mindset he's coming with. Given the
and if Justin and Gaethje has that power to be able to end it quick.
Got cement next to his hand. But I'll go like mid-second round.
Yeah, I mean,
take him down early second round after working at him the first round and kind of feel him out, and it's just going to be, good night, Irene.
Yeah, and look, on the call, DC is going to be on the call, who is a teammate from AKA of Khabib's. I think that's going to be some interesting insight for sure. I think that DC is going to be able to break down this fight like no other. So it's going to be really fun to listen to as well. But there's two other fights on the card worth talking about, right? Yeah. I mean, you want to bring up the heavyweights?
Always talk about the heavyweights. You have to. Volkov versus Walt Harris. I know your opinion on one of those guys. I don't necessarily know your opinion of the other.
I think one's boring and one isn't.
Yeah.
And I think Walt Harris is going to – I mean, look, Walt Harris is just going to press forward and try to knock the guy out.
Uh-huh. For sure. I think Walt Harris is going to end up getting caught. I mean, it's heavyweight. Anybody can get caught. That's the nature of heavyweight. But I think Harris is going to march forward like he typically does, press the action. Mm-hmm. Volkov's going to clip him. And unfortunately, Harris is probably going to go down because, again, they're heavyweights.
Right.
Out of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Volkov, right? I think that he's a point fighter, which does not necessarily prove successful in the heavyweight division if you're a point fighter. But again, like you were saying, and you teed it up, in the heavyweight division, anyone can go night-night at any time.
Oh, God, over and over again.
Yeah. I think that, the Joe Silva minions, the guys that he's left behind, I think have done a very good job of style versus style on this card in general.
The Joe Silva tree, you mean?
Yes. Yes, his fight picking tree. I think they've done a very good job of style versus style, and we'll see. We'll see if Volkov will be able to avoid Walt Harris pushing forward and just trying to knock the dude out. I'm predicting this one's going to end quick too. I'm thinking a first round knockout by Walt. He's going to get back in his winning ways and start to figure out how to challenge for that title.
I just want to see a good heavyweight fight. It's been a while, I think, that we've seen like a really throw down, holy crap, everybody hang on, heavyweight brawl.
I think we all root for Octagon shaking, thundering hits and just utter mayhem, right? I mean, that's what we want out of our heavyweights. We want Alistair Overeem versus Brock Lesnar, right? That's what we want out of our heavyweight. Not so much what really happened, but we want two monsters like that. We want
Tim Sylvia versus Jeff the Snowman Munson fight.
No, we want God. Yeah, I mean, we want Godzilla versus King Kong, right? We want we want world beater versus world beater. I think though these guys aren't in name recognition up to that level, I think to your point, we can get that with this one. But like I said, I go back to the Volkov's a point fighter and Walt Harris is a press forward and try to knock him out.
Volkov being a point fighter is going to clip him.
Because
Walt's going to probably get frustrated with it. And, hit the deck, sadly.
Yep.
And, I mean, again, it's heavyweight. You get clipped by a heavyweight. I don't care pretty much who you are. You're going to sleep.
For sure.
Related to this card, did you have any clue that Struve was still fighting?
I did, only because I am acquaintances with his manager, Lex McMahon.
I thought he had retired. I swear to God, until I saw the card.
He's always had issues with his heart. I think that things have been very tough for him physically. So I don't think he's been able. He's also a big dude. But yeah, I'm acquaintances with Lex, so I saw Lex posting a lot.
I swear to God, I thought he was retired due to the health issues. I was like, I was shocked as hell his name was on the card.
Yeah, and that's why you always have to excuse that. Struve's always a little bit soft. He's never always fully built out.
He's a heavyweight, but he's a heavyweight only because of his height.
Yeah.
He's on a beanpole typically.
Yeah. I mean, if that dude was ever able to fill out, oh my God, amazing.
He'd run over everybody.
But yeah, he's fighting in the prelims. I mean,
almost everybody. Bazooka, but.
Right. But yeah, but let's talk about Whitaker and Cannonier. Okay, Cannonier. So let's talk about those two guys. Look, the guy that comes out of this fight is going to fight Stylebender, right? They're going to have a claim to challenge for Adesanya's belt.
Yeah, but nobody beat him.
This is a great fight. I think either guy can walk out with his hand raised on this one.
This should be a war.
Yeah,
not a war. I mean, I don't like that term, but this should be a battle.
A battle. Yeah.
This should be
a good Slabanaka.
See, I don't see this actually going to the ground.
No. I think that this is going to be a very kickboxy type match.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm talking about fighting.
Yeah, I mean, Whitaker has this really lazy kind of kick that, really does damage, but doesn't look as crisp as it's kind of very tricky. And I think that's his key to victory. I think that Whitaker is just a stud. I think that he wants that belt back, and he knows that Cannonier is in his way. And nothing against Cannonier. I just think Robert Whitaker is the more polished kickboxer of the two.
Oh,
yeah. My prediction, it's going to go to a decision. I don't think either one of these guys are both way too tough to get finished. And I think that their style, if it's going to be a kickboxing match, I think they're just going to pound each other. I think they're just going to roam the octagon and pound each other.
Pound each other. I mean, they're both kickboxers technically, so pound each other. So I don't want to get hit by that. I would die. But I think Whitaker wanting that title shot, thinking the belt is, should be his, is going to come out, hopefully, pissed off and go for, the KO.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think that this is going to be a points fight at all. I think it's going the distance because these guys are just tough, and I think that they're just going to pound each and
like the early or late first round, early second round.
I can see that too, but then I've also seen fights where Whitaker just doesn't quite finish, right? He's just really good at just fighting and brawling, and it doesn't quite end. So that's why I think it's good. I think it's going to be Whitaker on the card at the end of the day, but I think it's going to be just a nice brawl where you pull the two guys apart and go, this guy won, not by much, but this guy won. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I hope it's a brawl, but I think Whitaker is going to go for the finish, either, like I said, late first or early second. I think he's trying to put him away. I think he has to. I think he needs to be an impressive. I walked through this guy for Whitaker. Give me that title shot. I've earned it. I want it. I want to go after it. Although at the same time, I don't think that anybody beats it.
Yeah, for sure.
On another level.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is a pretty fun card. I mean, I think throughout there's some pretty solid fights. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good Saturday night of fights, and we'll let you know if it was worth everything it was in the promotion.
Delay, so nobody spoil it.
Exactly. Avoiding Twitter, avoiding social media, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy.
Do not text me. I do not want to know.
Exactly.
There's sport on that I have to watch.
Right. Let's stay with MMA for a hot second.
Uncle Dana?
No, it's not Uncle Dana. It is Connor though. Connor called out Bellator, my old employer, to say that they need to partner with USADA. It's time for them to find a real drug testing organization to oversee their testing. Our boss Scott Coker has always defended, look, we rely on the local authorities, the local commissions to handle all of that. Now, that's a great way to deflect. That's a good way to test at the time of the event. But look, the thing that USADA does is they're testing year round. That they are an independent body that tests. The problem is that the UFC in their relationship, they are judge, jury, and executioner once they get the results of said tests, right? There still isn't an overarching organization that hands out suspensions. And that's also Scott's argument is, okay, it's great to have this testing organization, but we then have to hand out, and then there's this there's this thing where, okay, wait, we want the fight to go on, but we have these fighters who have tested positive for a substance. It's kind of a conflict of interest, right? You hire a guy to handle all of that, right? Like, he is judge. I mean, you hire a Supreme Court.
No, stop. You hire an arbiter, first of all. This is why you need a union. It will be stated in the CBA.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, look, I think that Look, the UFC's process isn't perfect either, and I disagree with a lot of how they hire referees internationally and how they handle some of this testing.
Talk about the refs.
I think we'll have a whole segment about that. But I think that, look, I think that Connor has been outspoken because he has a lot of guys from his camp, from his gym, that fight under the Bellator flag, and he's trying to protect his fighters. He's trying to protect his crew. I completely agree with what Connor's saying, but I don't think USADA is the complete answer, but it's an answer. It's a little bit better than what Scott's answer is, where it's like, we rely on this local organization to be able to do it, and then we figure out we don't have to hand out suspensions or any discipline thereof. Look, both organizations, the UFC and Bellator, managed very differently. Two very different people in Dana and Scott, but also two very different organizations. The UFC is a I feel the UFC is more of a league and Bellator is more of an entertainment organization, right? Not unlike the WWE in structure. I mean, the fights are real. The fights are absolutely 100% real. Don't ever think I said differently.
No, I'm not saying you're saying that. But I chuckled because at the end of the day, and this is true, sadly, of all sports, including the one that I love and you love, it's all a TV show.
Yeah.
So, you know, they need to put the best fighters out there. They need to try and put the best product forward, which is why you see some fights that on paper are going to be like the most amazing things ever, and they end up sucking. But
Bellator has always tried to be different in they've never really run almost as a league, right? That's why they've never really truly been, when you start talking about NFL, NBA, et cetera, the UFC's thrown in there. Bellator, look, they're the second in a small sports ecosystem in terms of MMA, but they've never really been kind of compared hand in hand with any other organization but the UFC, because the way they run and the way Viacom kind of allows them to run. I think in order for them to truly be an independent sports league, they need to be spun off from Viacom, and right now that's not the case. So I think that, look, I have much love for my friends over there, but we know what Bellator is. You know, I don't think the layperson or the MMA fan knows as much as we do. But look, I think at the end of the day, they need to figure out a better way to test. They need to protect their fighters, and they are not doing everything that they can. I think ultimately that's my long-winded way of coming around the horn and agreeing with Conor McGregor. It's all about protecting your athletes, protecting your people.
Oh, I agree that there needs to be testing, but as you know, and I know you agree with, they need to unionize. And this is across the board. It should be a fighters union, period. Bellator, yeah. K1, I don't care what the hell it is. UFC, name the organization.
Yeah.
IT Palace, I don't care. It should just, they need a union. They would all be protected, even from testing, would be uniform across the board. The punishments for a positive test will be laid out in the CBAs with the different fighting leagues, organizations. You know, if you test positive and you're fighting in the UFC, it's 20 days, whatever, I'm making up the number here.
Yeah.
It's 20 days. You're fighting in Bellator and you test positive, it's 20 days. You're fighting positive in K1, it's 30 days, whatever.
It's a lot to build out. And I think that's also to Bellator's small resources or lack thereof, lack of budget to be able to pay for something like this. Look, it can't just go, 5-day suspension, 30-day suspension. Like, you can't just put your finger in the air and see which way the direction the wind blows. I think that there's a lot of resources that have to be poured into doing something like this. And so right now, I think the way Bellator does it works for the way Bellator is structured and what Bellator can afford.
Well, look,
call it what it is. It's what they can afford to do.
Well,
I'm not saying that Scott doesn't want this. I just think he can't afford to do it.
Yeah. Given the backing they have, meaning Viacom, they could probably do a lot. Obviously, we're not in the room talking about budget. Nor are we in the room talking about what their ad dollar is, their revenue is, their ROI, and all that.
Look, I'm not going to expose or say what I've learned when I was an employee there, and when I was in those, when I was in those meetings, they're not very big. I mean, even nothing's changed. Nothing's changed over the last, what was I there 4 years ago? I mean, nothing's changed. I mean, they don't make a lot of money. They can't pay their fighters very well, right? I mean, their budget goes to production, and they're trying to expand internationally. We can sit here all day and I can tell you who's overpaid and who's taking money out of the honey pot, but we're not going to go there. I mean, but I can tell you that they just don't have the resources, and Viacom does not want to give them the resources because they're a weird part of the company though, right? Like it's a company built on cable networks and a film studio.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think that the UFC
and CBS
prior to selling was a great organization. It was very fun. It was fast, very fast. And then they got purchased, sold. I think it was more of a purchase than that they wanted to sell. They made an offer they couldn't refuse. And WME bought them. And I think that helped legitimize them, truthfully.
Absolutely.
Huge talent agency, now multimedia company, that now owns you. Where, you have a legitimate backing going, I can turn around and go, hey, guys, we've got problem XYZ. What do you want me to do? And they'll go, well, you're talking to the heads of state. Let's do this. I don't think that the same path happens at Bellator. I think if he has an issue, he can't go to the heads of state of Viacom.
I think that, no. Look, Scott's talking to the head, or was talking to the head of Spike now, Paramount Network, and now they're moving over to CBS Sports Network, which is good for them.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know in the structure of things, is he no longer reporting to, I can't remember his name offhand, but the head of Paramount Network, is he now reporting to the head of CBS Sports Network? Like, how does that all work?
But he's not talking to Sherry.
No, absolutely not. Well, Sherry's not talking to anybody in that capacity.
You know what I mean?
But Scott does not. But Scott does not have a seat at the table when Sherry Redstone. Absolutely, when Sherry Redstone is having a meeting of her direct reports, he doesn't have a seat at the table, and he doesn't have a seat on the outside of the table.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. So he doesn't have second or third level access to Sherry Redstone.
UFC. WME has a seat at the WME table for sure. You're not going to spend that type of money.
Right.
Bellator, there ain't no way they're in that room.
Right. Look, Dana White showed what kind of, I don't say power, because I don't know if they have real power, but when he calls Jimmy Pitaro head of ESPN, he's calling the name of Iger, right, when he has issues, when he wanted to bring the UFC back earlier in this calendar year. He has that kind of, they're on speed dial. I can give them a call and have these conversations. Scott Coker is not going and saying, let me pick up the phone and talk to, Sherry Redstone or, her directs. He's not doing that. Like, I think right now Bellator is lucky to fly under the radar of Viacom. And I don't know where this Bellator train is going to derail and keep going. I mean, look, they go from Spike to CMT to Paramount Network to now where they're to ESPN to now CBS Sports Network. Does anyone watch CBS Sports Network?
Tell me what.
I don't think. Exactly. I mean, I think I've watched one thing on there. I don't even remember what it was. It was something random, so rando. Look, to me, there's only two players in the sports space. There's ESPN and Fox Sports, and below, former employee of Fox Sports FS1 and employee of the Walt Disney Company that owns ESPN. Yes, so, but they are the two leaders in sports. They own, I would say, probably 85% of the market share in sports. And then you have, we're talking domestic. And then, then you have NBC and CBS. And I mean, let's not forget about the regional Fox Sports Regional Networks, which is now under Sinclair.
They're not under Fox anymore.
They're under Sinclair. Yeah. But they're still operating under the Fox Sports flag for now. But look, I mean, I don't know where this Bellator train moves. I have a vested interest because, like I said, a lot of friends over there that I still talk to that I have a lot of respect for. I really enjoyed my time at Bellator. I can't say anything ill of those guys. They do a lot with the little that they have, but I am going to call them out when I think that they can do better. And in this case, they can do better. But unfortunately, we all want to live in a mansion. We got to make enough money to live in a mansion, right?
Well, what would you, hypothetically, I'm playing the hypothetical game because nobody knows. Well, somebody knows. It's definitely not me. What would you think? And I'm just spitballing it. I'm thinking back in the days of wrestling entertainment or WWE. When WCW was owned by Turner, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if Turner took over Bellator? Everybody gives a date. I think Turner could do something with it. I mean, they did well with PGA stuff, NBA.
Look,
they've done well with NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
Bellator and MMA is not that far away.
No, it's very, very close. And I think that the promotion, the organization runs very similar. Very similar. The only difference is one's scripted, one is not so scripted. Look, the MMA space, I'm not saying the fights are scripted, but definitely the matchups and the way things turn out and the way things are promoted are definitely scripted. Yes. These guys know what's at stake and who they're fighting if they win or lose. Look, I think that would be a great thing. I see Bellator being spun off. If they can't come correct and make money for Viacom, eventually they'll get found out and they will spin off. But look, at the end of the day too, CBS Sports Network needs content. Bellator provides that content. Not only do they provide fights, they can provide all of the ancillary content, all the shoulder content that CBS Sports Network needs. The problem is, does anyone care to watch that stuff? Look, as long as there's veterans out there who the UFC doesn't re-sign, Bellator will be a welcome home. People will continue to want to tune in to watch, Rampage, Tito Ortiz.
Rampage.
Yeah, Ryan Bader, and to a lesser extent. Right. But it's like, as long as those guys are around, or those type of guys, and the UFC kind of look, one day when Dustin Poirier is no longer a darling of the UFC, Bellator will be right there to scoop him up.
That's probably
hands down. The reason why so many guys from SBG, from Conor's gym, fight for Bellator is because if you are Conor McGregor adjacent, that's good enough for Bellator, right? They can sell out an arena in Ireland
they should.
for those purposes.
Too, if I was
right. No, it's a great model. But that's enough about that is enough about Bellator. We have talked about Bellator way too much without a significant fight on their card.
I had one more thought about Bellator real quick. Again, hypothetically, if it's not Turner, what about a streaming company like an Amazon, or I won't say the other one, or Apple Plus?
They have that deal with DAZN.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Right. DAZN, where I finally canceled my subscription.
Hey, congratulations.
I was like, oh, I still own it. And look, it paid for itself when I saw a couple of fights that I would have normally bought on pay-per-view anyway. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm even now. Time to move on. But they have that. DAZN, how the hell, we can get into this later, how the hell does DAZN have so much money to be able to buy these rights? I don't know.
Figure that out. Where are they?
Let's follow the money there. There's some oligarchs or something hiding in DAZN. But I will digress before a hitman comes out in front of my house. But
you'll go missing.
Great. Let's move on to the World Series. Let's talk about the World Series. We're 2 games down now. Game 3 tonight. Look, I thought we had 2 great games. Right? Let me tee it up for you, and then you take it from here. First game, Dodgers showed exactly who they were. Clayton Kershaw did his thing.
Yep.
That's my very light take on game 1. Game 2, Snell pitched awesomely. They did not take advantage of him in the 5th inning like they probably should have, based on what the stats said. I feel like that Roberts followed a very hard script in his little book that he likes to write and peek into, and he did not deviate from that. And I feel like he could have let Gonsolin left him in another inning maybe. I think that he was settling down, and I think with starters, you might get something shaky at the beginning, but once they settle down, you stay with them 4 or 5 innings if you can. Gonsolin did not show that he needed to be pulled out to go along this long script of 7+ pitchers that he went. But what's your take on it?
Yeah, look, game one, obviously, disclosure, die-hard Dodger fan. Die-hard Dodger fan didn't cover it. Been going to games since I was 3. Will never, ever anyway, I mean, my socks are Dodgers. Wearing a bridegroom shirt under this, or was. Sorry, it's black now. I took it off. If you don't know what the bridegrooms are, Google it. I thought game one was great. Obviously, the Dodgers were victorious. I thought the mistake was on Roberts' part. You should have left Kershaw in. I think that the lead was both big enough and he was pitching well enough. And Tampa Bay, except for game 2, is such a feast or famine team, or was, in terms of their, we're either going to strike out or hit it over the fence. Given Kershaw's rather notorious issues with the 7th inning, mostly with the Cardinals, in the playoffs, I think you should have left him in there to work through it. Regardless of that, great start by Kershaw. He's had 2 great starts in game 1s of the World Series. He had one in 2017 where he pitched great. I wish that his, stigma would kind of settle down. Yes, we all know he's had issues in the playoffs, but he's still pitched great in other games.
Yeah.
So game 1, I thought magnificent performance by the Dodgers. Game 2, I agree. They missed their opportunities. I hate bullpen games. I hate them during the regular season. I despise them in the playoffs. I loathe them in the World Series.
Yeah.
Come on. It's the shit. Oh, you know what else I like? Sorry, going back to game 1 for a second. We were running the bases. We had Mookie steal, did a double steal. How awesome was that?
I was so excited. Look, I love aggressive base running. I love it so much.
And then we got out small ball in game 2, minus the 2 home runs. They were running, hitting. They had guys attempting to bunt. I don't even know if they actually
I don't like aggressive base running when you're getting thrown out at home when there's 1 out, and you should have. And this is the mistake that I can't remember his name. Was it Arroz Campoyo? What's his name? Arroz Arena? Was it Arroz Arena? No, it was the first baseman. Oh, what the heck is his name? Margot. No, he's the right fielder. But it was Margot. And he was at third, 1 out. And I mean, that really hard hit to Seager, who was playing in already.
Oh, yeah, that was a huge mistake.
And I'm like, and they're trying to say, look, it's fielder's choice. I mean, he had the opportunity to. You cannot go on that. You cannot go.
Yeah, you gotta stay put.
I get you can't hear or see your third base coach, so it's on you.
Ball in front of you, go shortstop. They're playing.
You don't go. This is all situational, and based on the situation, you see these guys playing up. If you see these guys playing up, then you know what? Hang back, because you have enough time, because they're playing up. If this ball gets past them, you're going to have enough time to run from third to home.
Could have crawled to home.
So, this is the first time we saw this kind of mistake. We saw the Braves make that same mistake, right?
Dive, tag, turn on his butt.
Yes.
Out. Yeah, that was.
Look, so this is the second time we've seen this particular mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just dumbfounding. Like, to me, that's just basic, lack of fundamental thinking. And look, I'm a Dodger fan as well, so I'm like, that advantage us. Okay, cool. Thanks for your mistake. We'll take that. But it bothers me when someone makes a mistake like that.
Yeah, I hate base running blunders. I'm glad when other teams make them, but I hate them when they happen.
Yeah, it's calculated aggression is how you should be running, not stupid.
Look, I think it's Bueller tonight. Again, today we're recording this on Friday, so game 3 is tonight. Game 4 is tomorrow. It's Bueller tonight. I'm very hopeful that they really need to have pitching issues in the sense that they don't have many starters.
Mm-hmm.
They have Snell. They have the guy who pitched game 1 for them throws gas, by the way. Holy
Taylor, yeah. Kid, he's from up in the valley by Santa Clarita.
Like 90, he threw 96-mile-an-hour off speed. I was like, that's
he gave that home run. He did look like he was gonna cry though.
He did, yeah.
I was like, he for sure is about to cry, and he's what 22, 23 years old.
Oh, wow.
He's a stud. But when I saw that, I'm like, oh, we got him. Oh, we got him. This dude is and we did. Right? He completely
melted down,
imploded, melted down, and we handed it to them. And they couldn't do anything to stop the bleeding. Look, they have 2 starters, and that's it. So
tonight's must win for both teams. Obviously, you don't want to go.
Yeah.
I was amused because I'm on a text conversation with 2 people, and as soon as the game ended the other day, I said, "Well, home field advantage got taken away from the Dodgers."
Yeah.
Because, in a typical World Series.
Look, I was very superstitious. I didn't really text you much in game 1, and I'm like, okay, the fact that I didn't text you a lot in game 1, I'm not going to text you at all in game 2 because that means we're going to win, right? Like I was so in my baseball mindset, head.
Because the players totally know that we're texting. Right?
They totally know. The golf gods know. And I'm like, I'm putting my phone down. I'm not texting them. I don't want to talk about anything. I don't want to talk about fire Dave Roberts. I don't want to talk about all these. I mean, look, I could have told you a million different decisions, like why the hell is he pulling him out? Why is he flipping the script here? Why is he doing this? Why the hell is Taylor in? Look, I don't. I know I don't like Taylor because he's all or nothing to me. He's like Jock Peterson.
No, he's not. Jock is Jocktober. Anyway, the announcing is bothering. Not us. I mean, the game. Like, they had this whole talk about in the NLCS about the tarps being there. Smoltz thought that somebody was going to hit the tarps. They hit it here. So then, game 1, they talk about how the tarps are gone. And then somebody proceeds to hit the tarp, a different tarp, with a home run, and they said nothing about it. I was like, "You just."
I don't think hitting that tarp activated a winner of any sweepstakes.
No, I don't care.
But that's the point. But that was the whole point. The Camping World tarp.
Now the tarp is gone, and then they hit the Budweiser tarp, which says "Hit it here, buds" or whatever the hell it says. And Smoltz then mentioned, "Oh my God, now they hit a tarp."
But see, I don't know if that. But that, like I said, that tarp didn't. It's not like if you hit that tarp, it was a win for somebody.
Inning ago.
But the Camping World tarp, you hit it, somebody wins a camper, right? So, I mean, it hit Twitter world. I thought it was funny. It was awesome, and congrats to our former colleagues over at Fox Sports. The stat that they rolled up that Mookie Betts has won 2 tacos. Right?
Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, look, putting that stat up was
great.
Very Fox Sports, but brilliant. Very awesome. And ESPN should take note of that. They should see the fun that Fox Sports has. They never will because they like to play things very straight. Yeah. And look, Joe Buck, love him, hate him. I love him. I think he's phenomenal, not only as an announcer, but as a person. I think Joe Buck. Smoltzy is awesome. Legend. I mean, I like Smoltz because he has the 2 different perspectives as a pitcher, both as a closer and as a starter, and he also was a stud when he was doing it. Both when he was right. When he was doing both, and his insight on hitters as well, and what these pitchers should be doing was very.
Like when he talked about what they're thinking.
Yes, it was very Tony Romo-esque. Somebody told Smoltz, "Do what Tony Romo does, and you're going to be successful." Because I don't think that Smoltz did that in prior seasons.
No. I don't mind that part of the announcing. The part of the announcing that's bothering me is they'll talk about topics, something will happen, and they don't come back to that topic that they were talking about, like the tarps.
And the callbacks. I mean, you would rather have them do a callback to something. I get it. Look.
And they were talking about the netting at one point, then, the ball went off and they didn't come back to it. I'm like, Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I look. I think that they've been doing really well in the booth, and I think it's great. I think that the coverage has been awesome. I think that the wire cam, wildcat cam, spider cam, whatever you want to say, that's along the first baseline has been pretty cool to watch too. I love different angles. Fox Sports always does a really good job of finding different camera angles to use within their sports.
And this is not their fault. The over-the-shoulder camera on the pitcher from center fielder, because again, Dodger fan, I'm so used to watching games at Dodger Stadium, is just off of where Dodger Stadium is. And it annoys me because it's not in the same exact spot. So the whole time I'm like, this is not the right camera.
Yeah.
But we're not at Dodger Stadium.
But I also think like with the lack of fans and more room to place cameras, I think that they are finding these different angles and they're playing with them, which is great. They should continue to do that. I think Arlington's been a good home. I do wish they would have gone in a little bit deeper into the advantage the Dodgers have by being in Arlington as long as they have. They touched on it for a hot second when they interviewed the Rays manager, but they never really dove into it. I feel like it's a huge advantage. They know every nuance of that stadium. They know every nook and cranny. They also have been able to settle in with their friends and family in the Arlington area, which is huge for them. And then you have these guys coming in brand new, learning like I said, friends and family, learning the area, learning the stadium, all those nuances. They talked about right field being very, very tricky, right?
That wall with all the little posts in it.
Right, and how the ball reacts off of it. And, and the time that Mookie Betts really sat out there and learned all the ways the ball bounces off of the wall, etc. I think that would have been an interesting conversation to have, and to have the layperson understand the other factors of the game. They didn't really dive into it. And maybe they don't think it's a point to draw on. I think it is. I always try to take the approach of, what does the layperson think, right? What is the, Joe Camel sitting on his couch watching these games, who doesn't have a lot of BTS insight like we have had? And what does he or she think? And how do we explain the game better, right? Because, when I worked in sports, I always looked at myself as a patron of the game. Whatever sport I was working on at the time, whether it was football, baseball, UFC, etc., I always looked at it as, how am I a patron of this game, and how do I make it better for the fan to understand? Because at the end of the day, it's all about the fans.
Oh, I agree. My last point, and
yes,
this is just a personal thing. Stop with the K-zone. Meaning actually on TV every pitch. Make it go away. I don't mind them showing it, like if it went through the zone, that graphic that they have, just stop.
You mean the spinning one?
No, I don't.
The 3D one?
Like where they go to it afterwards, like to show the ball travel. I'm good with that.
You don't want to see the square all the time.
Yeah, I don't want to see the square all the time.
See, I've heard the opposite. I've heard from people who don't really understand the game all too well, or do not find or see the nuances of the differences between a breaking ball, a slider, a fastball, etc., right? A four-seamer, all those different nuances that every single pitch brings. I think that the box, the strike, the K-zone brings that to normalcy so that people can see all those nuances. While I agree with you,
well, no,
but you got to think about this. You are more of an advanced viewer of the sport, right? And I think that, especially in the World Series, they are programming for
Joe fan,
mainstream, for Joe Camel.
No, but I don't think that box helps distinguish the curveball, fastball, 4-seam, 2-seam, cutter, whatever. The K-zone, the 3D spinning one, and what I do love on the coverage is when they show the arm angle of the person, of the pitcher, and you see like where the pitch
yes, that's awesome.
And then they go to that side shot.
Yes, love it.
And then you see the tracks of the ball, and it shows you where the ball is at the same time. Or it shows you the pitch coming out of their hand, and it shows the delivery of all three at the same time.
Love it.
Shot.
Yeah,
I love that. Everybody should be doing that going forward.
Love that.
Brilliant coverage. understand
I
that
don't.
K-zone that's there like every regular pitch for lefty, righty. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a little bit more video gamey. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
They're learning from video games to push the the understanding of the game forward. Yeah. And look, I also too what I do miss, and I can't remember who played around with it. It may have been Fox Sports, but there was a strike zone that was almost kind of like a blob where it kind of morphed as the ump was calling balls and strikes. And it might have only been for certain segments where they did this, but I'd like to see how the strike zone has expanded or contracted based on the umpire and based on his or her calls, because that would be really cool, right? Because you can make the argument that was a ball based on the K zone, but was it really? Because he's been consistently calling that a strike, but then when this pitcher pitches, why is he calling it a ball now? And I think, to your point, a lot of it is how the ump is seeing the ball coming off of a pitcher's hand, right? Like how he's even tricked, right? A lot of times. But I think that I'd like to see how that strike zone is expanding or compacting based on pitches.
Here's my problem with the default, not the one where they show the graphic and where it travels through the plate. I think that's brilliant. Just the white box or the corners of the box on every pitch. As you know, it's not where it ends up.
Right.
It's where it crosses the plate.
The plate, right.
It can end up with the catcher standing at first base. If that damn thing crosses the plate in the zone, it's a strike. And so I don't think that K-zone captures that is my problem.
It does not, but you know what?
Any catcher, and it hits him, and I'm like, but that doesn't tell you if it's a strike.
Right, because if a catcher frames it just right, he could trick the ump into calling it a certain way or whatever. What I'm saying is on those close pitches, then what they need to do is take that side angle, spin it around matrix style, and say, look, it was a close pitch. That's where it came through the across the plate.
Where they do that 3D graphic with the plate.
Right. They don't do it enough on the close pitches though.
No,
and I'd like to.
Well, they don't want to show up the umpire because it begs the question: robot umpires are coming.
You know what? And they are eventually. And look, we should get into this in another segment because I do want to talk about that because tennis has done the eye for a while.
We can talk about that. That's actually not the system you think it is.
Yeah, and we should get into that because I think it's an interesting discussion.
We're going to talk about technology and sports in a separate segment. Two more things just about MLB really quick before we move on. As you know, Manfred came out and said he wanted to keep two rule changes from this year. The extra innings rule where you start with the dude on second and the expanded playoff. I actually kind of like the guy in second in the extra innings. I mean, I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. It causes games to end earlier, which means, I don't have to sit through an 18-inning World Series game ever again, maybe.
Right.
I was there for that. It sucked. Don't anybody ever tell me that was good baseball because it's a lie. And the expanded playoffs, which I hate. I get it was a necessity for this year. The problem is you have teams, Milwaukee, with losing records getting to the DS. Now, thankfully, it worked out this year that the two best teams actually made the finals, the World Series. But you could have a year that you get a team in the World Series that had a losing record. No.
Yeah, I mean, did he say anything about the rosters, the expanded rosters?
Well, I mean, you have to assume that come the next CBA at the end of next season, not this one, 2021, that the DH is going to be universal. They're going to expand the rosters. They're going to vote on those two things probably, unless they vote on them now. And they're going to probably press for, and this might cause a strike, the shortening of the team control years. Meaning, they can't make their serious money until they're like 30. Instead, they wanted to, I don't even know if it's just one go away or two make it like a year or two.
Yeah.
So,
look, you hate both of those things, both the changes, right? Like you don't.
I actually don't mind.
You like them?
Second rule as much as I thought I would. I thought I was
okay, but you don't. But you don't like the expanded playoffs. Okay.
I don't like the expanded playoffs because of the whole losing record thing. Just drives me crazy. And I don't like the whole best of three thing. I already struggle enough with best of five.
I do like no days off. Do you like no days off? I love no days off. I love the guy on second base. I like all of the changes because you know what? This last World Series game was 3.5 hours?
Way too long.
I think it could have been shorter.
It's way too long. That's what I'm saying. Should be shorter.
But 3.5 hours is damn good, right?
They're trying to get games under 3 hours.
I know, but still 3.5 hours in comparison to what they've normally have been, in the past 4+ hours.
Inning one, which went 9 hours.
Right. I mean, let's say a normal MLB game's going 4 hours. Like getting to 3.5 or over 4.5 hours, getting to 3.5 hours is awesome. If you can get them to 3 hours, you can get them
a little shorter than that. But again, the World Series has more and longer advertising.
But if you can get them to 3 hours, I mean,
that's what they're
awesome. That's the goal. So I think if
got to pitch the 3 batters or finish the inning.
Yeah. Look, expanded playoffs don't influence that. I don't think a team, and I agree with you, I don't think a team that has a losing record should get into the playoffs.
That's my problem.
They shouldn't. But okay, so I mean, okay,
you can't give a team a bye. If you say bye, I'm out.
But what if they win their division with a losing record? Do they deserve to be in the playoffs?
Yes.
Because they won the division, right?
Well, here's what I think. I think it should be reseeded. Complete playoffs. Even if you win your division, if you have a losing record, you should be reseeded to let's say you're 8th out of all the teams. You're 8th.
That's EPL style, right?
Yeah.
There's a reseeding.
If you got it is technically reseeded, but I don't think they do it where the division winner is going to play the team with the best record. That would make sense. I mean, I guess I don't like it. They should completely.
I see your point, but then I counter and say, you know what? You won your division. It's losing record to win that division, but you won your division.
Yeah,
that division could be weak this year and strong the next, right? I don't think that you make the adjustment based on a year or two. And look, I only asked you that because on the NFL side, you have the NFC East, which I texted you about, that the Philadelphia Eagles have a 33% chance of winning that division. They also have a very good chance of winning that division with a losing record. Right now, they are 2-4-1, and they were in first place in that division. Everybody's they shouldn't be able to get a bye, and they shouldn't be able to host a playoff game. And I'm like, they won their division, dudes.
Playing by the rules.
They're playing by the rules. You don't change the rules because of one season. And look, I mean,
wait, I'm going back on my statement earlier. I think baseball, it's just by record. I was thinking the NFL.
Okay.
So baseball, it would be 1 versus 8. Whoever 8 is. Sucks.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think
NFL doesn't reseed. The division.
No.
Gets the bye.
Yeah, division winners get the bye, and they deserve it because they won the division. If that's just the way it is.
And look, it doesn't matter what the fans want. It's meaningless. It's what the players want.
Right. And I just think consistency within the rules of the sport, especially when it comes to playoffs, I think are important, right? Look, at the end of the day, I think that baseball has done a admirable job in their rule changes. I think that they need to apply some of them better. I love the challenges. I don't know about what you think about them. I know that a lot of managers hate them. I think that there's been some challenges that have been phenomenal. I think that is really, that steal by Adames, that he actually ended up touching Bellinger's foot instead of getting to the bag, and that was an overturn. Seager's Seager's foot, which I thought was great. I just think of them; they're almost interchangeable to me, Bellinger and Seager, right? Because they're best friends and etc. But anyway,
okay, I got to take back that I hate them. I do hate them, but for a very specific reason. They take too long.
I think they'll get to a point where they change them. I think that, look, at the end of the day, if you're looking up at a guy in the sky who's making that decision for you anyway,
New York,
by the time the ump gets to
headset,
he should already know. Should already know. He doesn't need to have the conversation because these guys have already seen what's going on. They're watching the game live, and now they're reviewing.
Possible.
So that 30, 45 seconds it takes the ump to get all that gear on, what? Okay. He's out. Done. Move on. Right?
I think they should just put it on the scoreboard. I don't mean the guy in New York. Just put the call up there.
And be done with it, right?
There.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the ump should just maybe have communication on him from New York. I don't know. There's a lot of nuances there, but look, I think that baseball's done an admirable job. They need to do better. They're doing good at breaking up meetings on the mound. I think that they need to do better with enforcing timing of pitches, getting guys to move quicker. I think
the clock is coming.
The pitch clock. I mean, I think if you get these guys on a cadence and they know they have to pitch within and you enforce it.
Well, you don't need a pitch clock, by the way. It's already in the rules. It's like 12v6 or some crap.
They just need to enforce it. They need to have teeth to those types of rules, because you do that, you can save 10, 15 minutes. Easy. You know, and you can get to where you need to be. I think that maybe they need to address that in the next CBA as well.
There's going to be a lot to address. I honestly am of the opinion they're going to go on strike.
No, they're going on strike, but I think it's going to be in a good way. I think it's going to, unlike strikes of the past, this one will help push the game forward.
Yeah, maybe. I hope.
We'll see.
I'm trying to look up the actual rule, but we'll talk about something else. I'll come back to it. Yeah. NFL,
anyway, you wanted to talk about NFL and COVID.
Oh, God, yeah. What the hell are they thinking? Okay, in case you don't know, the NFL has a COVID problem. If you haven't been paying attention to the sports world for the past,
Small one.
Yeah, for the past like 6-7 weeks. I mean, you've got teams that have basically been, and thankfully no deaths, but decimated by the virus. I mean, the Titans had obviously their problems, which they have seemed to overcome. You got the Vikings, who were thankfully okay. I mean, how far are they going to let it go before the NFL's like, we need to bubble?
Look, they've shifted games. They've moved schedules around. You've had games on Tuesdays. You've had 2 games on Monday night. They've figured out a way to do it. They've built these schedules with cushion so that they can do it. My question is, when are the NFL players going to get their heads out of their asses and actually be safe and actually put themselves in safe positions where they don't get COVID? I mean, that's what it comes down to. That, you know, and I'm not talking about COVID shaming and making anybody feel embarrassed for. I mean, look, they could have gotten it any which way, but some damn accountability, right? You know, you're not an independent contractor like golf. I wanted to say like golf, but then when you get sick, like Adam Scott did, you affect your caddy, you affect your team, etc. But you know, with the NFL, it's even more so. You get sick, you're going to bring it to a locker room, you know, with 50 plus other people, and then you're going to spread it to the whole team. Like, there's accountability there that some of these guys aren't taking. Yeah. And it's frustrating because the one place they need accountability is in the locker room. And if you're bringing in an illness, a virus like this, you really don't care. You really need to look within yourself is, what the hell did you do?
Yeah. I don't
it's dumbfounding.
I mean, the NBA bubbled, so they're out of the equation. The NHL bubbled, so they're out of the equation. Now the NBA, the Raptors have to figure out what they're going to do, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's months away.
Different time. Yeah, the NFL has a huge ongoing issue and a potential huge issue where I blame the NFL for not bubbling up, even though I know it's incredibly difficult to do because you got those guys there for weeks.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. The players have to get their heads out of their collective act.
Yeah.
Like, I understand you guys. I mean, I hope that they just got it by random chance, traveling.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
From the practice facility, because if one of them or more of them got it from, you know, I went out to XYZ place, wherever it happens to be, and you got it, like, you should be kicked out of it.
And you know what? I retract my statement about COVID shaming. I'm like, you know what? If it was found out that you contracted it in some nefarious way or some irresponsible way,
you should be kicked out of it. Just flat out gone.
Yes. You should be called out for it too. You say, look, this is what this guy did. It's not the fact that he brought the virus to us. It's the fact that he didn't care enough about his teammates, because that's really the underlying issue here, right? He didn't care enough about his teammates and or team and his career to play it safe for the next few months.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I don't understand it.
Talking about COVID, I mean, Phil Mickelson came out the other day and said, I don't want to play in the Houston Open, which is going to be allowing fans. Good job, Texas. They're going to be allowing at least 2,000 fans to go view and watch the Houston Open. Phil Mickelson came out and said, I don't know if I want to play.
Good for him.
Open, because you know what? If I get sick, the Masters is right after that. Yeah, I'm going to lose my chance to play in the Masters. And so good for him stepping up and saying, you know what? I don't trust the format of this. I don't trust that the Houston Open will be able to keep me safe. And if I do get sick, I'm not going to be able to play in the Masters. And if I'm going to choose the Houston Open or the Masters, I'm definitely choosing the Masters. He's definitely going to be bubbling up for the next couple of weeks leading into the Masters for sure. So we're not going to see, and any player of consequence should be. And again, it all goes back to responsibility. With golf, I think they have more of a responsibility to themselves. With football, they have a responsibility to their team. I mean, this is their job. They don't play, they don't make money.
Play golf.
Right.
That's their job. So anyway, I found that rule. It's 507C, by the way. It's called pitcher delay. This is from 2018. When the bases are unoccupied, the pitcher shall deliver the ball to the batter within 12 seconds after he receives the ball.
Which definitely never happens. I don't think it ever happens.
Right.
I'm going to watch tonight, and I'm going to count 12 seconds, and I'm going to see if even in a normal situation, 12 seconds happen.
Each time, remember, there's got to be nobody on base.
Right.
Each time the pitcher delays the game by violating this rule, the umpire shall call ball. So the violation is that's a ball. So it becomes a 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. It's a walk of the count. Yeah, right. The 12-second timing starts when the pitcher is in possession of the ball and the batter is in the box alert to the pitcher. So that's a key point. So it's not just once he catches it, the batter is standing and talking to his third baseman. He's got to be in the box ready to go. The timing stops when the pitcher releases the ball. The intent of this rule is to avoid unnecessary delays. The umpire shall insist that the catcher return the ball promptly to the pitcher and that the pitcher take his position on the rubber promptly. Obvious delay by the pitcher should instantly be penalized by the umpire. Oh, shit, they ever enforce that.
Yeah. They need more teeth to those rules.
They need to enforce the rules they freaking had.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else you got on your mind?
No, tons, but nothing sports related. COVID's freaking pissing me off.
Look, I will say this. You don't agree with me. Borat, saw it last night.
Wow.
Cringy in a awkward, funny way. Had its moments. It's not that long. I think I banged it out it was a really quick watch. I didn't have anything else to watch. I mean, like, I like Borat. I like Sacha Baron Cohen, and I think Sacha Baron Cohen. I think he's great. I think he's great. I think Borat's great. I think this Borat 2, whatever they're calling it, was pretty funny. Definitely worth a watch.
Did you like the pants thing or shirt thing with Giuliani?
Rudy Giuliani is a pervert. And look, is he single? I don't know if he's single or he's got a, wife. But look, he had a pretty girl who was making advances towards him. He's an old gremlin. I mean, you have this pretty Russian girl who's flirting with you. I mean, it's probably what he was thinking this whole time. And she's like, oh my God, this is a dream come true interviewing you. I'm such a huge fan. I mean, she's pumping him up and he's feeling good about himself. And then she's like, oh, let's have a drink. Let's have a drink in the bedroom. I mean, look, it was entrapment, like to the umpteenth degree. She got him in the bedroom. He laid back. He's kind of like got his hand on her hip. There's all this stuff going on. He kind of starts playing with himself-ish, under his pants. It was kind of gross.
Tucking in his shirt.
I can't say that any guy in his position wouldn't be doing this. What I'm trying to say is I can't see anyone else in his position not doing exactly what he did. Okay? I mean, you know, and I think that's why it did not become a bigger story than it was, because it was horny old man, attractive young woman, and exactly. And like I said, I don't know if he's married. I know that he's divorced or has been divorced, so I don't know if he has a new person in his life. Again, those are things that he has to deal with. The public doesn't. I mean, even if he was married, the public doesn't have. That's his marriage. If he's putting his, you don't know what kind of relationship he has with his wife or significant other. Maybe they have an open marriage. We shouldn't be judging. You know, Rudy Giuliani is definitely not my favorite person. However, I thought it was a funny situation they caught him in. And like I said, it was a blip in the news, but it was a funny blip. But like I said, the few scenes to watch, definitely a fun watch. I would recommend watching Borat. I know you wouldn't.
I think just Sacha Baron Cohen is very funny, incredibly intelligent.
Yeah.
The speech he gave many years ago to, I don't remember who, it's not that many years ago, it feels like a long time ago, COVID happened, is one of the most brilliant speeches I've ever seen a celebrity give. I don't remember, again, who gave it to or where it was off the top of my head, sadly. But I just don't like that character that he created. I like Ollie G. That character.
Look. To each their own. I think it's very nice, very nice. You know, and look, that's all I got. You know, thanks for watching, guys. Let us know in the comments. Disagree, agree, what you'd like to talk about with us.
Don't spoil it on Saturday.
Don't spoil the fights. But let us know if you have a comment. If you want us to talk about something, let us know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I'm DJ Schroep. That's Dustin Ovitz. We will see you on the other side, guys. Peace. We out. Oh man.
I wanted to mention LeBron saying he won't engage with Trump, but I felt, no, it's not.
Well,